Okay. So now, what is collection framework? Anybody knows about it? What is collection framework and why is it used?
It is, ma'am, basically all the containers are implemented in that, and all the algorithms are implemented, and it is easy to use to already made a stack queue, linked list, array list like tree. Without coding from scratch, we use in our code to develop the things.
Ma'am, it's a framework which makes data manipulation easy, ma'am.
Okay. But then data, whenever we talk about, the data can be available in multiple forms, right? You might have data available in the primitive way, or you might have data available in the form of object, something like that. Yes. So now whenever we are talking about data, yes, definitely whenever you need to handle large data, yes, and mostly when you don't know how much data you will be having, right? Now, in that case, definitely collection framework is useful. Now let's consider a scenario that you are storing the information of the employees of Zorient, right? And one employee is represented in the form of one object, right? So in this particular scenario, whenever you have one object to be created to represent one employee, then how you are going to store the data? Obviously, we have talked about arrays, where array is a reference data member. It has a property of storing multiple elements together, same type of data together under one umbrella. So we already know that what is an array and how to store data in an array. Arrays can hold primitive as well as reference data members. So all these things are known to us. We have also seen how can we manipulate an array, how can we store the data, how can we process the data, how can we fetch the data. So when we know everything, all these things we are aware of, why should we go for something new again for manipulation of data? And as the name suggests, when you say collection, collection is nothing but number of elements put together. Yes, number of elements put together. So again, here we are talking about group of entities, isn't it? In array also we were talking about group of entities. In collection also we are talking about group of entities. So when we know about an array, why should we go for collection?
Ma'am, array stores only similar kind of reference variables or data, ma'am, or in primitive data.
In
No, I
framework, ma'am, there
didn't
is
understand what you said.
Ma'am, array stores only similar kind of data, ma'am. It doesn't store different kind of data altogether.
Collection also stores same type of data.
No, ma'am, different kind of objects can be stored in collection, but only one type of object can be stored in array, ma'am.
Not always, it is not always a different type of
framework.
object.
Collection framework provides, ma'am, groupable array called array list, which is dynamically increased.
I'm not getting the exact answer what I'm looking for. Did I talk about what type of object? Did I talk about? No. See, first of all, arrays can hold primitives as well as objects, right? Arrays are not restricted to only primitives. Collection is also able to hold object. Now, collection is the concept in Java which will work only with the objects. So anyways, in collection, you cannot store primitive data member. It's always the objects. That is first thing. Second thing, what are the limitations of array? Those limitations are overcome in collection. This is what we are achieving using collection framework. So whenever you are giving answers to various questions, understand nobody is asking you what is object, how you are going to store data, primitive, reference. I didn't talk about it right now. My first answer or my first point regarding collection framework is that first answer you gave me correct. That collection is used for manipulating data. First point. Second point is what? It is a framework. That means framework. What is a framework? They have provided the base to work upon. Means you have the base based on which you can develop your application. Okay. Now, what sort of application you are going to create over here? You are going to create an application that will manipulate the data. When the data you are not sure about how much data you will have. So whether you are going to have one data element or you are going to have 1,000 data elements, you are not sure about it. Okay. Then obviously collection means a group of entities. So then why to go for collection? Whatever facilities are provided by arrays, right? Definitely we can work with arrays. However, there are certain limitations, right? Certain drawbacks of using arrays. So to overcome those limitations and still deal with multiple elements stored under one umbrella, we are going to make use of collection framework. In this case, I didn't use the word as primitive or reference, nothing. So try to give answers in this way. Nobody has asked you. Now collection cannot work with primitives. Do we have any other way? Yes, definitely we have. We can represent primitive data in the form of object. We have seen that. So how to store that data, we will see later. Yes. So your answers are supposed to be a little bit polished, guys. Okay. So this is what we need. Fine. So collection framework, it is a framework, a base provided to develop an application for manipulating the data. Yes, this is one thing. Now, a collection is group of entities. Now, someone had mentioned that you can store any type of object. There are specific conditions when you can store any type of object. Otherwise, any type of object is different concept, and a type of object, a specific type of object is different concept. Collection cannot store any random type of object. There has to be some relationship. It's not generic, it is generics. Okay. So holds the group of entities. Data must be present in the form of object. Primitives cannot be stored in collection. Remember this particular point. Yes. Then overcome the limitations of the arrays. Right? So now how to what limitations? The very first limitation of an array. What are the limitations of the array?
Static.
What static?
Limited size. We need to define size.
Size.
Correct. Arrays are fixed length. Or you can say arrays are static. Right? Means once you are declaring an array of a specific size, yes, in that case, you cannot modify the size of the array. Once it is fixed, it is fixed, or whatever number of elements you want to store, only those many number of elements will be stored in that array, right? So fine, this is one limitation of array. Now, whenever you are creating an array, obviously you need to have the consecutive memory locations are required for data storage. Now, so if you don't have consecutive memory locations, JVM has to work on it, make that consecutive memory locations available. So if you need an array of size 10 consecutive memory, consecutive means what? Sequential. Right? If 100 values are supposed to be stored, 100 consecutive memory locations are supposed to be available. Yes. So this is one more. Correct. This is one more limitation of the array. However, in collection also we have certain implementations. Those follow this particular way of storing data. But now whether you want to go for that consecutive memory location wala collection or no, that is up to you. So we will see how it is done. Right? So this is about the consecutive memory locations. Then memory usage. How is the memory usage? Now say for example, I have created an array of size 15. And out of those 15 means what happened? Consecutive 15 memory locations are allocated for that particular array. Right? Now, out of those 15 memory locations, suppose I have stored data only at the 5 to 6 locations. What about remaining 9 to 10 memory locations? Can I use them for any other data storage? So the answer to this question is no. Once the memory is allocated to a specific array, you can use it only for the data storage through an array, and it cannot be used for any other type of data storage. Okay, so actually it is a memory wastage, isn't it? Because I still have data, but I'm not able to store data in those 9, 10 memory locations because these memory locations are allocated to an array. So this is one more limitation. After that, whenever you need to perform certain operations as insert, update, delete. Yes. So insert operation means what? Suppose you have an array in this way. Insert means what? I want to insert the data in between. Something like this. So what has happened over here? Whatever number of elements are there, those more number of elements are added. No doubt about it. Yes. But whenever we have added these data members, the size or the length of the array is also increased, right? Earlier at this particular index position 2 was there. Now 8 is available and value 2, the initial value, earlier value is shifted by 1 index to the next position, right? So is this possible? So the answer to this particular question is no. So this operation cannot be performed because arrays are fixed length, right? Again, update. So suppose I have this particular array and I want to update it. Update means what? I'm not increasing the value or I'm going to decrease the value. I'm just increasing or I'm just updating. Right? So a specific value is updated. So yes, it is indexed implementation. So by using that particular index, you can definitely update this particular array. That can be done. Now the delete operation. So in this delete operation, what I want is whatever newly added data I have, that data needs to be removed. So what is required? So this 8 has to be removed, this 7 has to be removed, this 8, this 0 has to be removed. That means these 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 values are supposed to be removed. When this 8 is removed, the 2 should shift to the previous index and the length of the array should be decreased by 1 and so on. So is this possible? So answer to this question is no. This is again not possible because once the arrays are created, they cannot be modified. They are fixed length.
Immutable.
So insert and delete cannot be performed, right? Insert and delete we cannot perform. Yes, update definitely we can perform, but updating is not inserting or deleting. Means if you will say that if 8 is supposed to be deleted, I will replace it with 0. So the value 8 will not be there in the calculation. That is not deletion. Deletion means what? A value is removed, length is decreased, and the next element at the next index should be moved to the previous one. This is what is expected, and this is not possible. Okay, yes. After that, sort. What is this sort operation?
Arranging a
Sorting the
data
elements.
Ascending or descending order.
Ascending or descending.
Correct. Sorting the elements. So first of all, can we do sorting? Yes, we can. Definitely. However, we don't have any predefined
method.
We don't have any predefined method. Every time you have to specify the logic to provide that particular sorting implementation. Means what? Suppose I have created an array which is of type int. So I will implement the logic to sort the int array. I'm not talking about any predefined method. We haven't yet started discussion of the collection. And you will say that arrays can be used to do that. Yes, definitely arrays class can be used to do that. However, arrays class itself is a part of collection framework. It doesn't work with array. Like in JavaScript, you have array as a predefined object. In Java, we don't have. It is part of collection framework only. So that comes under collection framework. There you have that is a utility class. So definitely it has methods that can be used for performing various operations. No doubt about it. Yes. However, whenever we are going to perform this particular operation, we will have to write the logic explicitly every time. Why? Because suppose right now I have the int values in my array, I will implement the logic for sorting int values. Fine. Next time, definitely if I have a string array, suppose. So definitely I cannot use the logic which I have implemented for sorting int array. Right? So next time, if I have a different type of data, yes. So every time, depending on the data, you need to sort or you need to provide the logic for sorting. Is this clear? Search. What about search?
Same, ma'am.
Same. Correct. So Yes, definitely search operation can be implemented. However, we don't have any predefined method for implementing search operation. We will have to write the logic every time depending on the data we have. Like suppose there is a float array and I have implemented a search operation for that float array. And then after that, if I have the string array, so definitely the logic which I have implemented for float will not be useful to search any element in the string array. So the logic has to be different. Is this clear, everyone? Or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is what we have. These are the limitations of the array. Now, how these limitations are overcome? First of all, how these limitations are overcome by
With the
collection.
help of collection framework.
Correct. But how in collection? So first
All
of
the
all,
things are predefined.
collections are dynamic. Okay. They are not fixed length. Right. So there is no fixed length. That is one thing, how the first limitation is overcome. One more limitation is there of array is same data type values be stored. But I will come back to this particular point a little later. For consecutive memory locations, in case of array, every array will require consecutive memory location. There is no option for that. Yes. However, not all implementations require consecutive memory locations. Right? It is not required. Not all require consecutive memory locations. So this is one more advantage, right? Then memory usage is very effective. How? First thing is, whenever we are going to add elements, memory will be allocated. When you are going to remove the element, memory will be released, which can be used for storing any other data type. Yes, being a fixed length, we have a facility to insert, update, delete. We have predefined methods. And whenever we are adding new element, more memory will be allocated. Whenever we are removing element, the memory will be released, which can be used for further data storage. So this is what we have over here. Insert, update, delete, search, sort. For all these operations, predefined methods are available. So we don't need to define any method every time. These are all interfaces and classes, right? So they already have the implementations over here. And to follow those implementations, the classes are there, right? We are just supposed to utilize that particular functionality. Yes. So whenever we are doing this, these functions are available. We can directly utilize them in our application. So this is what we have over here. Now, one more limitation stays as it is, which I have not discussed about, which is same data type. So we will come back to this particular point even after some more time. Yes, right. So till JDK 1.4, it was allowed to store the data in a collection as long as it is an object, means object of object class, object, as long as it is object of object class. Now what we know is any class which you are defining in Java is directly or indirectly a subclass of object, means object is direct or indirect superclass of all the classes. So in the inheritance, we had seen that class A, B, C, that hierarchy we had. So B extends A, C extends B, that we had. For A, we have not specified anything, but class A, as it is not mentioned anything explicitly, by default, it extends object class, right? So for B and C classes, definitely that object class is non-direct superclass, and for class A it is direct superclass, right? Whatever classes you would have in the hierarchy after class C, yes, so after that particular class C, whatever we further classes we have, suppose class D is there, so D extends C, C extends B, B extends A, and A extends object. So this hierarchy is followed. So the point over here to highlight is object class is direct or indirect superclass of all the classes. This is what we have provided by default, that we cannot change, right? So till JDK 1.4, it was required that you can store any type of object as long as it is object of object class. So whatever class you pick, which could be a predefined class, which could be a user defined class, definitely it is of type object. Type object means it is kind of object class, right? It is not necessary that only object class objects are stored. When I say I want to store string object, definitely string extends object. So string becomes of type object. Now, collection is the functionality where you can have only the data represented in the form of an object. Yes, this is what we have. So if we have primitives, you need to convert those primitives into the reference data type, and then that reference data type object will be stored in the collection. So till JDK 1.4, that explicit collection was required. Now from JDK 1.5, we have got the facility. Wrapper classes are already there. They are there from very first version of Java, which were using or which were used to represent your primitive in the form of an object. True. So till JDK 1.4, explicit object creation of wrapper class was required. Okay. However, JDK 1.5 onwards, as we have the concept of auto boxing. Yes, due to auto boxing, now we don't need to convert that particular primitive in the form of object explicitly. That is taken care of implicitly, automatically by the concept named as auto boxing. Auto boxing we have already discussed about how it works, right? So this is one limitation we have, as we can say that yes, it must be in the form of an object. So suppose I have stored an object. So I have some data. First object is in the form of integer. Second is in the form of float. Third is double. Then again I have integer,
Character.
string. Then I have one more float. Then I have Boolean. Then I have character. Then again integer. One more integer. One more float. Like this, whatever number of objects you want to store. Okay. So I have these many objects. But remember that even though I'm saying that, yes, it is integer, it is float, it is double, it is string, how Java or how collection is treating it, it is treating it as object of object class, right? So whenever I'm storing integer in my application, Java is treating it as object of object class because integer class extends object, and obviously superclass can hold object of subclass. Again, next object, float. So whenever I want to store a float, I am creating float type of object, but Java is treating it as object of object class, and so on. That is repeated for all these. Yes. So as Java is treating it as a object of object class, so when I want to retrieve it, right? So when I want to retrieve it, what will I get? What type of object will I get? What do you think?
On respective data type object. If integer, then integer type of object.
No. When I'm saying that, even though I'm storing integer, when Java is treating it as an object, it will give me object of object class only, na? Why it will do that conversion for me?
Okay. Yes, no, object of object.
We need to
class.
convert it by ourselves now. Huh?
Yes,
By
so
using
we
integer.
need to convert it. Whenever we are retrieving the data, we need to convert it. So now first object is of type integer. So whatever object type of object is received, that needs to be converted into integer. Next to be converted into float. We have seen that we can apply downcasting, and we can do that.
Unbox.
अनबॉक्सिंग नहीं, कुछ भी कहीं पे भी मत चिपकाओ. यहाँ पे कहाँ अनबॉक्सिंग हो गया? This is downcasting ना. Unboxing is when you are getting integer object and you are pulling primitive int from that integer. That is unboxing.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Here
Yes,
I am
ma'am.
receiving object of superclass and I need to convert it into subclass. What is this concept called?
Okay.
as?
Down.
Downcasting.
Downcasting, right? So in every case, whatever number of objects I have, I will have to perform downcasting. But for performing that downcasting, first I will need to check whether it is integer or float or double or string or boolean. So that explicit check has to be there, because if it is a string and if I'm trying to convert it into integer, definitely it is not going to work. So first I will have to have a check. Now, what is my business logic? To treat this particular data, to manipulate this particular data. However, currently what I'm doing, I'm checking for the type, whether it is integer, whether it is float, whether it is double. Yes. So this is one point. And suppose by mistake, I'm receiving an integer object and I have converted it into a string while downcasting. What will happen? We will get class cast exception, right? Now, at the time of storing the data, nothing happened. However, at the time of retrieving the data, I'm getting class cast exception. This is a runtime exception. Yes. So unless you check that particular data type, you cannot perform the conversion. And this is extra task that needs to be done. Yes. And when I will understand that an exception has occurred, an unexpected condition has occurred, whenever I'm executing this particular application, right? Because I'm storing integer, the Java is handling it as an object. So when object is returned, I need to convert it into integer, and by mistake, I have converted it into string. This is the condition. So I have performed casting conversion, but that casting is not correct. Yes. So for that, what we need to, or what we face over here is class cast exception. And that occurs at the time of execution. So once I have developed that particular application, when I have executed that application, at that time, I'm going to understand that, oh, this is the problem, which I will have to fix it again. So there are chances that class cast exception is faced. And what has happened is till JDK 1.4, people were using this particular approach. But because people started facing these issues, some changes are done. Yes. So this was the issue. This is first thing. Okay, fine. Second is what? Now suppose I want that all the integer data members, how many integer data members are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. I want the summation of all these integer data members. How will you do that? You have this particular data, and I want to have the summation of all integers. How will you do that?
We have to retrieve
Retrieve integer from that, ma'am, all, and add and again convert to them. Bigger integer.
But I don't know now whether it is at the first or second or third. So I will have to first get all the data back, isn't it? Then I will have to apply the loop and check what is the data type, what is the data type. If it is integer, group them together separately and then perform operations onto it. Isn't it? Or no?
Yes. Yes.
So this is the answer. Your answers are not up to the mark, guys. Now, this is not a Java related question completely, isn't it? You have, say you have 10, 15 values and you want to check some values of a specific type. What will you do? First, you will iterate. Then you will execute the condition. Simple thing. If you have primitive, say 100 primitives you have, and you want to find out even numbers, how will you do that? You will check each and every value individually, isn't it? So if those values are put together under one umbrella, you will have to iterate over that particular entity and then get every value individually. So here also, I have all these data members put together, all these objects put together. Now I want to check that whether this is integer, whether this is integer. So definitely I will have to iterate over it. Yes. So when I will iterate over it, first value, okay, is it integer? Yes. Put it separately. Next, float, no, discard. Double, discard. Integer, okay, put it to the array which I have created earlier. Add it over there or whatever element I have created. So first I will have to do sorting. Once I have got all the values, then I will have to apply the logic. So again, there is an extra overhead for me, extra work for me. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Fine. So these are the limitations of this particular way of implementing or using the collection, right? So after JDK 1.4, when people have faced these many issues, mainly the type class cast exception at runtime, and performing any operation, common operation for multiple values also becomes a tedious job. So then in JDK 1.5, there is a new concept introduced, which is generics. Okay, so what is generics? Generics provides a compile time check. Okay, so compile time check is provided at the time of collection or object, at the time of object being stored in a collection. So what we are going to get back to is same data type. So at the time of collection creation only. Okay, so generics is used to specify what type of objects are stored in a specific collection. Okay, so in that case, it is again, or we are again going back to the scenario where same data type is utilized. That's why I had kept this particular, I didn't discuss about this, right? Because till JDK 1.4, different data type was allowed because there were some limitations, some errors faced by the developers. A new concept named as generics is introduced, which again takes you back that collection can hold same type of data which you have specified. Obviously, if you will specify the generics of type object, so any object which is of type object means whatever we have mentioned over here, that can be stored, but then it will treat it as an object. It will not treat it as a integer or float or double separately. So you will be going back to JDK 1.4 version ka collection, right? But if I have created a collection which is going to store integer type of object, so it will store only integer type of object. There you cannot store float, or there you cannot store string. So this is the compile time check. Earlier, whenever we were using this approach, whenever it was allowed to store any type of data as long as it is an object, there was no compile time check. So any type of object can be stored over here. Even a null value can be stored. Or suppose you have created a customer class, customer type of object can be stored. Employee class, employee type of object can be stored, because these classes are of type object only, right? So now we have compile time check, where we are specifying what type of data will be stored, and the compiler will check that whether you are storing the correct type of data in the collection or not. Okay, that's why now any type of data, as long as it is an object, is not allowed in collection. Now, whenever you are going to declare a collection which is more generic, definitely you will have to implement the logic explicitly. Clear? Yes, everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
So now what do we have in collection framework? So first of all, java.util is the package utilization, util, right? So in that java.util package, we have an interface named as collection. Okay, and from that collection interface, we have two more interfaces that are derived. One is list and another is set. So anybody knows what is difference in list and set?
Yes. List contain all the types of value, but set contain only unique type and it's unordered. So
Type.
unique
Now
values.
type is specified at the time of collection creation. Unique values. Now why you are talking about type? Both now as we are using generics, any collection is going to hold same type of data. So now in this particular answer, type won't be given any reference. Are you getting this? Now, whenever it comes about comparison between list and set, right? So it is understood that the list or the set that will be created in such a way that it is going to hold a specific type of data because we are following generics. Fine. So whenever it comes about now comparison between list and set, it is not at all related to type. It is now related to values. What you are storing in a list or what you are storing in a set. So
List
what
allows
Set cannot hold duplicate value.
duplicate values, but list
okay,
set allows-
correct. No duplicacy in set. Duplicate values can be stored. Okay, one more important. Ma'am, in list is indexed. Set is
on
non-indexed. And holds duplicate data. Holds unique values. Right? So this is one more difference. Yes. So these two differences are there. So now you can decide that depending on what data you have, you will be able to understand whether to go for list or to go for set. So like say, for example, you have some data which is numbers. Yes. So suppose for this particular batch, 30 people are there and I have marks of any specific assessment. All are numbers where these numbers may be repeated. Multiple people might have scored same score, isn't it? Same marks. So in that particular case, where the repetition of data could be there, you need to make use of lists. There you cannot go for unique approach, right? And whenever you have a data which is unique data, like say for example, you are developing an application for Zorient and where every employee must be represented in the form of an object. So every employee is unique, no repetition of data is allowed. So in that case, you should go for creation of set. Now, Ankita, what you have mentioned, insertion order maintain and set not maintain. Now there are certain implementations in set which maintain the insertion order. Insertion order is one different, what we can say, characteristics for comparison. Don't get confused in indexing and insertion order. Two
It's
different
indexing, not insertion order. It's indexing and non-indexing, not insertion order.
there cannot be the comparison between with the the point as insertion order, right? In set also we have certain implementations which follow or which maintain the insertion order, so that will not be a point of comparison over here. The point of comparison will be indexing, whether it is indexed or not. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, fine. So now, whenever we are implementing it, obviously these are the interfaces. So we have some predefined classes that are available, which are already implementing this interface. So we have array list, linked list, and vector. These are commonly known, commonly used implementations of list. Now we are not going to discuss everything. We will go by, or we will discuss one class. Rest you will do as a self-study. I mean, in each category. I'm not saying that entire collection framework. So this is hash set. Linked hash set. And tree set. These are commonly used implementations. There are more, yes, which you can refer from the documentation. Just a minute, guys.
Ma'am,
Yes.
but linked lists are not indexed data types, no?
Any list implementation is indexed implementation only. How we are going to access it? Through index only. So the first element is going to store its own data and reference to next. But
Next,
so
yeah.
we are going to make use of indexing.
Okay.
So let's now implement the code. For that, I'm going to create a new project. Yes. So for that, let's create a class which is list demo. Now, for this, what you are going to do is you will be making use of Java documentation. Just open it. Java util. So as you can see, these are various interfaces that are available. Collection, comparator. We will see some of them. List, map, set, queue. These are all classes that are available, their respective implementations of the interfaces. This is what we have over here. Now, whenever we are creating this, so this is the collection interface. Now you can see that in this collection interface, you can see this E. E stands for element and it is in the capital. Capital E represents object and not the primitive. Okay. Capital E represents the object and not the primitive. This is what we have over here. Now, this angular bracket is used for specifying the generics type. Yes. So this is collection interface which extends iterable. So actually the hierarchy begins with iterable, as you can see it over here. Obviously, this is there added later on in 1.5. So till 1.4, the hierarchy of collection framework was starting from collection. Yes, and 1.5, it is a little bit different. Now this iterable interface is added. But fine, why it is added? Because some functionality was newly added. Whenever new functionality is supposed to be added, it is added in the form of a what we can say, interface, which is specifying the standard to be followed, right? So whenever we have this standard to be followed, we obviously need to have the backward compatibility. And to have that backward compatibility, we are going to make use of these super interfaces, because if you will add it after collection, then there will be a disturbance the compile time error will be occurred and you will not get the expected result. You will have to make changes everywhere. So that's why generally it is added in as the super interface. Now, in one more scenario, this super interface is added, which is that we will see later on. So this is what we have over here. Now, whatever functionality is available in the collection, that is available, whatever methods, obviously these are all abstract methods. So all of them are available for these interfaces, their sub-interfaces, and so on. Their implementations, their sub-implementations, means subclasses, and so on, right? Now, what do we have over here? We have these methods like add, add all, clear. So add will be used for adding an element. You can see that here element is passed. It is not object of object class. Contains all, is empty, remove for deletion, size, fine. Then to array is for converting the data into to array. This is what we have. These are main methods that are available. Now list interface extends collection. This is what you can see over here. So whatever methods are there in collection, those are available, and I don't think list adds any of its own. I don't, sublist is added, which returns the list. Yeah. So some methods are added. List iterator is added, which is specific to list only. It won't work. Now, as this is indexed implementation, some operations based on index are also added, right? So these are we have. Similarly, we have set. Set also extends collection. So now how you are going to study any of this collection implementation is you are going to understand the methods and how you will be able to manipulate the data. So here I'm creating main method. Interface level programming to achieve what we can say, loose coupling. So this needs to be imported. You need to make sure that you have imported java.util.list, because in java.awt package, which is used for UI creation, there also a list class is there, and that list class represents the drop down list. And this list is the interface which represents the list which we have. Okay, just a minute. Let me just show you. So you can see that this is the java.util wala interface. There is some class also. Where did it go? It must be somewhere. List data list, or they have removed. I don't know. Okay, whatever. But we will need this.
AWT.
You need to specify what type of data you are going to store and what type of object. Now you cannot create object of list because it is an interface, right? So this is what you can use over here. Then first display length of array list. So first we will display list dot size is the method that we have. Plus list, right? Now if you will see, if we go to now how you should be studying. So array list is the class. Okay, this is, if you can see, object class is super class of it. Yes, array list extends abstract list extends abstract collection extends object. So finally object is there by default. Yes, now you can directly go to this constructor and you can see that, okay, this is the constructor that is available, and it creates an empty list with the initial capacity of 10. Initial capacity means initially how many objects it can accommodate. Yes, now don't get confused between the capacity and the size. Capacity means how many objects can be accommodated, and size or length means how many objects are already stored. Yes, so whenever you are creating an array list, it is capable of storing 10 objects. But how many objects it is holding right now is 0. So length will be 0 and capacity is 10. Okay. If you want to change this default capacity, you can make use of this particular constructor. This constructor is going to, or one array list will be created where if you have any other collection which is already holding the data, and you want the entire collection to be part of your existing array list, then this entire collection can be passed as a parameter. So this is already existing collection and you are passing it to the array list constructor. So new array list will be created, which is holding this entire collection, and then you can manipulate more or whatever operations you want to perform. So these three constructors are available. Apart from that, no constructor is available to us. Okay. Now these are methods. Add is overloaded over here. You can see multiple parameters are passed. Add all. Some of the methods I'm going to show you. Some of the methods you will implement. Yes. So first let's understand what is the output of this. So you can see that currently the output is blank array list with the size as 0 because initial capacity is 10, but how many objects are stored, that is 0. Yes, is this clear everyone or no? Now whenever you need to add any data member, so you can directly now pass this value because of auto boxing. Add elements, right? So if I'm printing this, I have added one element. So you can see that the size is increased to 1 and this variable is available. Now I will add some more data members. So list dot add. Let's see if duplicates are allowed. So say I'm going to list dot add. Right? So I will print this again. And whenever I'm executing this code, you can see that duplicates are allowed and it is maintaining the sequence, whatever sequence is there, because this is indexed implementation, and yes, definitely it maintains that particular data sequence. Is this clear or no?
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Implement
Yes, ma'am.
this. Implement this, everyone. Okay. Now insert element. Insert means what? You want to insert it in between. So this is index 0, 1, 2, 3. Now say for example, at index number 2, I want to add any element. So list dot add, again we have this index 2, comma, say 100. Yes, and I'm again printing it. So whenever I'm executing it, you will see that this 100 is added over here. Size is increased by 1, and whatever existing elements are there, they are shifted to the next index. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So check out other methods.
Ma'am, sort needs comparator.
I didn't ask you to use sort.
Okay, ma'am.
Search and remove. Implement these two. Search and remove. Try these two operations.
Okay.
Sorting, see how to do that. Done, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
So which method you have used?
Contains
Correct.
for
Contains
search.
search. Yes. So how you are going to do it? So Boolean, you must have directly printed on the console, right?
Yes, I just passed in system.printout.
That is not the correct approach. Boolean is data available equal to list dot contains, and you can assign the value, suppose 40. Yes. Then if is data available, value is found, else value is not found. Now 40 is repeated. So how many times you are getting value is found printed?
2 times.
2 times. Okay. How many times? Once. Once it is found means once. Means it is there. This operation is not repeated. Contains is going to check for only once. Once it has found that data, so internally what it does, it will iterate over your list and it checks whether 40 is available. Once it is found, that means it is available. It will not go and check that how many times it is available. If you want to check for how many times it is available, you need to make use of index of. That too in the loop. Yes. So index of returns the index of first occurrence, and last index of returns the last index of multiple or last occurrence of the specific element. So you need to write that particular logic. So if you want to find out that how many elements are there, how many, or a specific value is repeated for how many times, then you will have to write that logic. Got it, everyone, or no?
Yes.
So contains method is going to return true or false, and that is going to check only once. It is not going to check throughout. You will have to do it. Okay. Now for modification, okay, removal. Which method you have used?
Remove.
Dot remove. ma'am.
Delete operation.
Remove.
So list dot remove. Now either you can specify the index or object. So suppose I want to remove the value at index 2, right? So this is before removal and this is after removal. So you can see that before removal value or the length was 500 was there. After removal 100 is removed and length is reduced to 4. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
फाइन. तो ब्रेक लेना है कि नहीं लेना है? Okay. So you have implemented this add, insert, search, and delete. Okay. After that, the next is iteration of list. Now, for iteration means what? You need to iterate over it and deal with each data independently, each value independently, right? And for that, what you need to do is you are going to make use of loops. So basically there are 3 ways of using it, or how you can iterate over the list. Why list? I'm mentioning over here because list is indexed implementation. So we can make use of for loop. Second, we can make use of for each loop. And third, we can make use of iterator interface. So can you implement these two ways of iterating over a list? Yes, guys. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So implement first two ways of iterating over a list which we have created, and then we will see what is the next one. Implemented, guys, or no? Done, everyone, or no? Yeah. Okay. Now the third way of iterating. So for loop is normal. It is just the indexed implementation, right? So in for loop, what you are going to do, for iterate over a, and here we are going to make use of
Dot
list
size.
size. Right? And here I'm just going to print the list dot get. Get is the method which is used to retrieve the data of a specific index, right? So this is the output of first iteration. Just the separator over here. So I is playing role of the index. Then for indexed as well as non-indexed implementation, right? So for each loop is used for indexed as well as non-indexed implementation. So we are just going to print this particular value. Now what is iterator? Now for each loop is added in JDK 1.5. What was before that? That also we need to understand, right? So prior to this for each loop, definitely we had to have something which allows us to iterate over a non-indexed implementation, because collection holds indexed as well as non-indexed implementations together, right? So in this particular case, we have an interface named as iterator. So how we are going to get an iterator type of object? I'm saying iterator type of object, not the iterator object, because it is an interface. So internally a class is created which is implementing the iterator interface for the list, which will be returned by using this iterator method. Now see, if you will refer to java.util package, in that API you will be able to see the iterator interface. Iterator being an interface can have only the method signatures and not the implementations, right? So in collection interface, we have a method iterator, which is on the right hand side, which you can see. Small I and round bracket, that is a method, and capital I iterator is an interface. So this iterator method in the list interface, which is further implemented by using array list or linked list or vector, because again in the list interface it is an abstract method. Only class can provide the implementation for it. So it provides that how you want to iterate over a list, and it returns object of a class which is implementing iterator interface. Now this iterator interface has got a method has next, so which is checking whether iterator has next value or not. Now look at this particular method name, has next. What do you understanding from this name? Whether iterator
next
has
element present or not.
Element or not. So when it is either or, that means it must be returning a Boolean value. So it returns true or false. So it returns true till the or whenever the next value is available. That's why we can use it into the while loop. And here I'm just going to add itr dot next. Here I'm not performing any conversion, object to integer or object to float. I'm not doing that. Yes, I'm just providing you that particular object. So no conversion is there. Okay, is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, clear everyone? So now output of this will be same. All three are going to provide you same output. The way how you have implemented, this can be used only with indexed implementation. These both can be used with either indexed or non-indexed, both type of implementations. So is list clear?
Ma'am,
Hmm?
can you explain the has next to once again?
Has next. Okay.
Yes.
So what it does, it iterates over this iterator internally. Iteration means what? Go one by one. Yes.
Yes.
And when it goes to the specific value, it checks whether iterator has next value. Yes. Okay. Return true. No. Return false. Is this clear?
Okay, so Boolean type of.
It returns Boolean value. That's why we can check as a condition now.
Okay.
While is loop. Okay. While is used to execution of the loop. So execute this loop till when? Till itr dot has next is equal to true.
Okay.
So it will keep on repeating it. Okay.
Okay.
Fine. And next is going to give you the actual value, the next available value. So now what I want you to do some work on your own for next 10 to 15 minutes. Yes. And create hash set object over here. In just one program, we will see all the set implementations. List is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Set is equal to new hash set. Then set dot add. Again, internally it is going to convert set dot add. So create any set of values to be inserted, whatever set of values you want. Some certain checks I want you to do it over here. I want you to check the duplicacy, how set handles duplicacy. If I have handled or if I have inserted duplicate values, okay, so how set handles duplicacy of data. क्या होता है डुप्लीकेसी का स्पेलिंग? चलो डुप्लीकेट डेटा लिख देते हैं. Because I have provided duplicate data. So check. Okay. Done, everyone? So is it storing
Yes,
duplicate data?
No, ma'am.
No.
No,
It
ma'am.
won't allow you to store the duplicate data. Correct. So it will rewrite that particular value. There will be only one value available which you are trying to add again. Yes. So does not store duplicate data. Okay, fine. Now what I want you to do is print this particular set. SYSO hash set. Now contains, remove, all those methods are same as of what we have seen in the list, right? So we are not going to implement those again. If you want, you can add or you can try them out later on. Linked hash set, same object, and I'm just going to insert the data in the same order. So I will change the value over here. And this is linked hash set. And then what I want is I want the data to be available in the tree set. Same data in the same order. Okay, guys. And I want your observations to be shared. I have kept the same sequence. I have not changed the sequence.
Yes, ma'am.
So what is your observation?
Actually, in link set, ma'am, data is in ordered, and in tree set, in ordered, in sorted order data.
Okay, so in hash set, data is random.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. In linked hash set, it has maintained the insertion order.
Yes, ma'am.
And in tree set, the data is sorted. This is what you are supposed to get over here as an output. Correct. So hash set is not going to maintain any order. Right? It is a random data. So now, what is your observation? When will you use set? This is the first point. Then when will you use hash set? When will you use linked hash set? And when will you use tree set? What do you think?
When order is not required and then we use, ma'am, that has it. And when ordered is maintained, need to be maintained in a specific order. And if we want sorted data, then we use tree set.
Correct. Correct. So first of all, whenever you need to store unique values. So the very first check whether you should go for list or set, when you have decided to go for the set, when you have the unique data member, no repetition of the data, no duplicacies there. In that case, you will go for set implementation. Now three options: hash set or linked hash set or tree set. So if in your case, you want to store data and you want to retrieve the data in that particular scenario, in what order you are receiving the data, that is not your concern. You have stored 10 values, you should get 10 values. That's it. Right? Then the option will be hash set. If you want 10 values, however, the output must be in the same order how it is provided as an input, you will go for linked hash set.
Linked list.
And whenever you need any sorting to be applied, you can go for tree set. Yes. So these will be the use case scenarios where you will be able to make use of set implementations. Clear? Any queries in here? Everyone? Anyone? Yes. Any
No,
queries? Okay. So fine. This is about the set. Rest of the methods, if you will go to set. Now, take 15 minutes and go through all these methods and implement these methods as add all, contains, then remove, this iterator, implement these methods, is empty. I want you to implement all these methods.
Can you repeat once again?
Your screen is not, you are typing on notepad, ma'am, or where?
Wait. Someone note down names of the methods, put it in the Zoom channel. Okay, so add we have seen, add all, contains all, is empty, iterator, remove. Okay, that's it. Okay. Now understood? You are supposed to implement these methods. Yeah. Create an object of type employee, okay, and store 5 employee objects into the set. Will you be able to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh, do it. Currently add them into hash set, huh? Initially.
Okay, ma'am.
How many employee we need to add?
5.
5. Yes, created.
Creating, ma'am.
Keep 4 fields: employee ID, employee name, designation, and salary. Add all these fields. Add getters and setters, and also the toString method in the employee class.
Ma'am,
Yes.
can you repeat the 4 attributes?
Uh, yeah. So you are supposed to, okay, I will show it on the screen only. Wait. So this is going to be your class. Done, created.
Yes, ma'am.
So now let's create another class, which is employee set. In this, I will have main method. So when I need to create a class which is holding multiple employees, so I will create set, which is going to hold data of type employee, say employees equal to new asset, right? Then employees dot add employee, and I'm going to provide information as this one, designation salary. This is the salary. So this is how you are going to add the objects. New employee and okay, we will put 4 to 5 employees, right? Okay, so I have these 5 employee information added over here. So when I need to iterate over it, or first of all, let's print. Or have you implemented toString method? Then you can print one
Yes, ma'am.
object at once. So for each YSO employee. So whenever you are executing it, you will be able to see that all the data of all the employees is being displayed. Check if you have implemented the same code. If not, if there is any gap, please make the required changes.
Ma'am, this will return the index values of the employee.
Huh? What?
Ma'am, the output will be the index values, means like the object IDs.
Why?
I am getting that output only, ma'am.
What is your toString method? What have you printed in the toString method? That you will get.
Okay. I didn't use that.
Yeah.
Whatever toString method you have implemented, that output, no. It is toString method, otherwise won't give you the index.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Getting the same, but implementing a little bit different. My code is more.
Why?
Because I first create all the employees object
Hmm.
initially in the starting, and that object I add in set.
Okay.
This you do constructor part here, object making in add, but I make it separate task.
Okay.
Ma'am, this is a better way.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Hello,
Yes.
ma'am. Actually, I'm unable to use the iterator interface. Can I show my screen?
Yeah. Have you created any class or interface named with iterator? You have not imported it. Where is the import for iterator?
Yes, ma'am. I think so. Ma'am, this gives an
New
error.
set 2 is
that-
wrong, na? New set 2. Why new set 2? We are just going to invoke the method.
Okay, yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Now done.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, everyone understood how we can store the objects. It's not, so whenever we are using collection, this is the way how we are going to store the data or the objects which we have created. Custom objects. This is what we call them, right? So definitely we can store custom objects. Now hash set. Whenever I'm using hash set, definitely the order cannot be fixed, or order is not fixed, right? So what I want is, instead of hash set, now store these objects into tree set. Change the import accordingly.
Ma'am, I have one question. Doubt.
Mhm.
These are the objects, ma'am. So each time reference is different. That's why all the set are unique. And yeah, either we have duplicate data, it's entered in that. Then how?
For custom objects, to check the duplicacy, you will have to implement equals and hash code. Because here, even if the data is same, the reference of both the objects will be different, right? So
Yes, ma'am.
it store the uh, two objects with same data. But why it will save two objects with same data? Because even though the data is same, their hash code or their locations will be different.
Yes, ma'am. We need to take care of that check, or there is other method also here to do that.
Ma'am, I'm getting my output different, ma'am. It's just showing like that java.util.tree map hash key iterator at the rate 60,060. Like that. Can I share my screen and
That
show, ma'am?
means,
Implement
you
string.
have not implemented toString method. Check if you have implemented.
I implemented, ma'am. But still I'm getting that.
Share your screen.
I implemented here, ma'am. ToString method.
What are these names, K and E? Go to that. Why this K and E? What I have told you. This how, why you are using E? Employees, no, not capital. Change that E to employees everywhere, line number 7 to 10.
Yes, ma'am.
Just give control space after E. Go to next line, control space. Select it. Do it everywhere. Save it. Run it.
It is showing and it is just going back. And it's showing this.
Where is your iterator? Acha, employees dot add new employee. And you are printing employee. Okay. Why iterator object is there?
Yes, ma'am. That's what I'm just thinking. I'm getting the address of that location, ma'am.
Wait.
Hash code. I'm getting hash code.
Yes.
That's it.
Have a look at it. Employee. Show me your employee class. Show me your employee class. Okay, give me the remote. Let me check what you are doing. Starting, okay, ID, okay. Are you sure you are executing this code? You were executing some different code?
No, ma'am, I'm executing this itself.
It's giving output now.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, okay. Okay, ma'am. Can I just stop share?
Yes, yes. Okay. So now what I want is now change it to tree set and execute the code and tell me what output you get. Understood everyone what you're supposed to do?
Yes, ma'am.
Runtime error. Okay. So
Ma'am,
what
there
it
is some
says,
error. Exception in thread.
so it says class cast exception. Class employee cannot be cast to class
Yes, ma'am.
lang dot comparable something. Yes. So we are getting this particular exception. Why? What could be the reason? First of all, let's understand what could try to find out the reason. Yes. And then probably we will be able to fix it, isn't it?
Ma'am, maybe it's trying to sort it.
Okay, maybe, not maybe. Actually, it is trying to sort these particular objects because the default behavior of tree set is to store data into the sorted manner. This is how tree set stores the data, right? Now, when tree set is going to store the data, now in previous example, whenever we saw this set demo, right? So in this set demo, you have these elements which are being stored into the tree set, right? And there we were not facing any issue. Why? Because whenever we are using these predefined objects, what we have over here is this particular data or integer objects. They already know what what is the order in which they can be sorted. because that order, the natural order, which is numeric order in case of numbers, right? After that, alphabetical order in case of strings, right? So this is already available, or this is already known. However, whenever it comes about the custom object, yes, so whenever it comes about the custom object means what? The object that we have created in our application, that is termed as a custom object, right? Here we don't have any order based on which these objects can be sorted. Yes, because what do we have over here? I have employee ID, I have employee name, but this is my custom employee object that needs to be sorted. I want to store, but based on what? Either I can sort these objects based on employee ID. So all the employees are sorted based on employee ID, or employee name where alphabetical order can be followed, or salary, right? So these are various factors or parameters based on which we can actually sort these employee objects. But right now, we don't have any facility to specify that, okay, this is the way how I want to sort these employee objects. We have not specified any criteria for sorting. Yes. So how to provide that criteria based on which these objects will be sorted? So for that, we have two interfaces available in Java. Okay. One is comparable interface and another is comparator interface. Now, what is difference in these two? Comparable means what? Something which is able to get compared. That is comparable. Are you getting this point, everyone?
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
no? Something is simple English term, right? I'm not talking about Java right now in this particular scenario. When I say comparable, means something which can be compared against another. That is comparable. And comparator means what? It is a tool which is performing the comparison. That is comparator. Yes. So what we need now, what can be compared? Something which is able to get compared, that will be compared by the comparator. Understood this or no? Like in school, you must have studied less than, greater than, equal to, right? So you have suppose two numbers. Now, how can you compare? So you are a comparator. Two numbers are there, and you are supposed to provide less than, equal to, or less than, greater than sign over there, right? So you are what? You are comparator who is comparing two different numbers. Now, when can you compare two different numbers? When those numbers have the property that yes, I can get compared against another number, then only you will be able to compare two numbers. Do you agree? If those numbers don't have the characteristic of getting compared against another entity, you won't be able to compare. Like in English, we have learned that, okay, I have some, I would like to have some water. Yes. Now, when I say I would like to have some water, definitely some cannot be compared as a, okay, some compared against another some. Definitely no. Yes. Now, this is English what we have learned. But similarly, why I have discussed this? Because when we need to compare two entities, we need to check for the compatibility of comparison. Yes. And when two elements can be compared, then only we can compare them. Yes. So the comparator. Now, what is this comparator? Definitely we need to learn about it. Yes. So here you can see that in this java.util package, we have an interface. Yes, this is an interface named as a comparator. Okay, and this comparator is kahan gayi method? This comparator has a method compare. It's here. I was checking at that here. Okay. So this comparator has the method as compare, and this compare method accepts two parameters, which are two objects that are supposed to be compared. Yes, like whenever you want to provide that less than or greater than sign. Yes, so what you will do? You will have to have two entities which needs to be compared against each other. Do you agree, guys, or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So unless you have two entities which can be compared against each other, you cannot provide less than or greater than sign over there. Similarly, by using this comparator, whenever you need to compare two elements, definitely you need to have those two elements, those two objects, which can be compared against each other. So that's why this particular method, which is compare method. So this compare method accepts two parameters, right? Or I would say two objects, because here in collection we are dealing with objects only. So these are two objects, those will be compared against each other. Okay. Now, once I'm comparing these two objects each other, any criteria that these two objects should have, is it there? Is it any criteria available over here? So the answer to this question is yes. There is a criteria, there is a specification which must be followed. And what is that specification? Whenever we need to compare these two objects individually, each of this object must be of type comparable. Now, what is comparable? Comparable is an interface which is available in java.lang package. And in this comparable interface, we have a method named as compare to. Now here, if you will see, this compare to method is instance method and it accepts one argument. So how this compare to method works is, it is going to compare the current object on which this method is called with another object which is passed as a parameter. That is this. So we will invoke the method on current object and we will pass the another object which needs to be compared against this current object. Is this clear or no? Two objects. Everywhere we are comparing two objects. So first comparator will have two objects. But when two objects will be there, when both of them can be compared. Both of them are able to get compared. So yes, you will compare two values. So one value is able to be compared with another value. So value 1 compare to value 2. Are you getting this or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now earlier, why we didn't get any issue while we were completing that or whenever we had compared? Because if you will see this integer class already implements comparable interface. So it is already of type comparable, right? So whatever comparison is required, that feature is already implemented over here. Okay. Now, if you will see, there is this compare to method which is already available, and this compare to method returns one int value. Yes, so it is seen, it is specified that compares two integer objects numerically based on numeric order, right? And it returns 0, -1 or +1. So you can see what value is returned, right? So it returns 0 if this integer is equal to argument integer, means you are going to invoke this method on one object. So object 1 dot compare to object 2. So if both these objects are holding same integer value, it will return 0. If a value is less than that, then -1. And if it is greater, then +1. This is how it is going to return the value over here. So for that, what we need to do is, whenever we need to store this particular element or this particular employee object into tree set, we need to also provide the criteria based on which these employee objects should be compared. Now, if you will write employee implements comparable, what will happen? You will be able to compare these objects based on any specific criteria, only one criteria. Okay. This is what will happen. Do you agree?
Yes, ma'am.
Because when I say employee implements comparable, compare to method should be implemented, and one class can have only one method with a specific name. We cannot have multiple methods with the same name and same signature, right? So this is what we are going to have. So instead of using comparable, we will make use of comparator, and comparator will internally make use of comparable. How to do that? So I'm going to create another class, say employee ID comparator, because there are various parameters based on which I can perform the comparison, right? So I may have employee ID or name or designation or salary. Yes, based on that, I can provide the comparison sorting. So currently we are talking about employee ID. So here implements comparator, and it is going to accept employee type of object. What data do I have? Employee. So I will provide two employee objects. It needs to fetch the employee ID of each of that. Now we have seen that integer already implements comparable. So I will have to break down my object, employee object, and get the data or get the elements, variables, which are already of type comparable. So we have integer, which is comparable, string, which is comparable, and that will be used for performing the comparison. So now here we need to implement this method, right? So here I will have employee 1, because I don't like these names O1 and O2. Yes. So integer, because now as it is a class, we cannot make use of int. Yes. So empid 1 equal to employee 1 dot get employee ID. Now this is returning what? This is going to return int value. Get employee ID is going to return int value. However, internally what happens, because of sharing stop हो गया क्या?
मैम स्क्रीन
हाँ, अरे वो मैं क्लास पे क्लिक कर रही थी, वो स्टॉप शेयर का बटन है उधर. हाँ. So because of this auto boxing, this, even though get employee ID is returning the int value, it will automatically be boxed, automatically be converted into integer object. So integer employee ID 2 equal to employee 2 dot get employee ID. Don't make mistake in both the cases. If you will fetch both the data from or both the employee IDs of same object, you won't get the expected result. Then return empid 1 dot compare to empid 2. Okay, so what I'm doing, get the first employee ID, compare it with the second, and this will be repeated. Okay, we have 5 objects over here, so it will be applied to 5 objects, and then we will get all the objects. Those are sorted based on employee ID. So now if I will execute it, now what happened? One more thing is remaining. I have created the comparator, but how my tree set will get to know that where is the logic for comparison? So you will have to specify this object, employee ID comparator. So you can see that this sorting is done based on the employee ID. Clear or no? Complete this particular code. Yes, everyone is clear with this or not?
Clear, ma'am. Done.
Okay. So create a comparator for name of the employee. Sort the employees based on the name.
Yes, ma'am, done.
Done? Okay. Any queries? Yes, guys. Any queries? Queries.